Okay, so we are going to do the mock fly zipper sample. And this is basically the same thing as a lap zipper, except that it has much deeper extension so that you can have a bigger stitching line. It's also, this one we're doing is a mock fly because it has an extended fly versus a sewn-on fly. Either way, you do it the same. This is a little bit more simple. So if you ever are making these and want to turn it into a mock fly, all you have to do is add that extension. But that's what we're going to do. But it's sewn the same way. Okay, so here's your pattern, and it is in your syllabus. And it is assignment number 8, so ignore that number. And what I want to show you here on the pattern is we've labeled everything very clearly so you can see it. First of all, you can see the stitching line. This is your top stitching line when you're finished. We'll get to that when we get there. This is your center front line that follows the stitching line all the way up. Then this is your extension fold line. This is where it folds back on itself. So when we, after you cut this out, you're going to cut out 2 pieces, and you're going to mark something. We want you first to mark the dot right there where that pin is, and you can see it right on the pattern. It's got a nice little square there. So mark that, and then at the top, if you'll just do a little snip along the stitching line, the center front, and the extension fold line. If you'll just do 3 little snips, that's all you have to mark. So look at that. I've already got it marked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 2 front pieces. You can tell that this is the front from the twill weave, but can you see here I've got my dot marked, and then I've got the snip for the extension line, center front, and then the snip for the stitching line. So I've got all 3 of those. So I am ready to go. Okay, so let's look at our instructions here. I'm going to follow the instructions each step so you can see what I'm doing. That will help you the most. So the first, number 1, is just talking about cutting it out and marking it. We've already done that. Number 2 is to sew a permanent seam at 5/8 from the raw edge along the curved part of the crotch line up to the dot and then backstitch. So that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to put right sides together, and I've actually marked the front and the back so that I have both. I don't really need both, but there they are. So just mark, you can just mark the wrong side. And I'm going to put a pin right here at my dot. That's where I stop. And then I'm also going to put a pin at along this curved seam, and I'm going to be sewing this at 5/8. So I'm just going to go ahead and put pins in. And now I am ready to go ahead and sew the crotch line. Now, if I was doing this, this is just a sample, but if I had an actual pair of pants, I would sew down here, and then I would probably, well, what you're going to do is, because on a pair of pants you do your crotch seam last, after you do your inseam, I would probably stop about here, then make sure my inseams were done, and then I would finish doing that crotch seam, like all in one, so that it was centered there. But for the sample, we're just going to go ahead and go to the end of the seam. So let's go to the machine and start. All right, so I'm going to put my needle down right at the dot. Then I'll take my pin out, and I'm just going to go straight along this line to so it's 5/8 from here. So if you're a little bit, you know, confused, you want to just, you can see the 5/8 here at the throat plate. It's just that I'm going to have to stitch a little bit before I can see it right here, but I can line that up still. Okay, so if it helps you to mark that curve with a chalk marker, go ahead and do it. But I'm just going to use my throat plate here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back stitch. I'm going to go forward a few stitches, and I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to make sure that this comes out at the 5/8, and I'm just going to follow that all the way around. since you're doing a curve, sometimes it is easier if you chalk your seam line in. And then I'm just going to back stitch here. And okay, we're finished doing that part. So let's pause, or let's go ahead and pin the zipper in now.